Hello students, today we are going to start a very important chapter in the physical chemistry, that is the chemical equilibrium. This is one of the important chapters in the physical chemistry. Okay, now this is in the 11th NCERT part 1 in the physical chemistry. Okay, now chemical equilibrium, it is a branch of physical chemistry that deals with the extent of completion of the reaction, isn't it? That means how far a reaction will go can be predicted. Now in the physical chemistry there are two important other chapters, that is thermodynamics and chemical kinetics. Now the thermodynamics is a branch of physical chemistry, isn't it, that deals with the spontaneity or feasibility of a process. That means whether a process occurs on its own or not, that will deals by the chapter thermodynamics. Okay, the feasibility of a process. Now one more chapter, that is a chemical kinetics, which is a branch of again physical chemistry that deals with the rate of a chemical reaction and what are the factors affecting the rate of a chemical reaction. Okay, now these are the three important physical chemistry chapters, that is a chemical equilibrium, thermodynamics and chemical kinetics. Out of these three chapters, the first chapter, chemical equilibrium, we are now going to study, which is the branch of a physical chemistry that deals with the extent of completion of the reaction. Now here this chapter doesn't tell about the feasibility of the process and also doesn't explain the rate of a chemical reaction. Okay, the feasibility of a process we will discuss we will see in the thermodynamics, and the factors affecting the rate of a chemical reaction, let's suppose activation energy, catalyst, concentration of the reactants, how they temperature, how they are affect the rate of a chemical reaction or a speed of a chemical reaction. All these things we will discuss in chemical kinetics chapter. Okay, now according to the direction, there are two types of chemical reactions. Number one, irreversible, and number two, reversible reactions. Okay, according to the direction of the reaction, there are two types of reactions. Number one, irreversible, number two, reversible. Now in irreversible reaction, the reactions will occur in only one direction, that is called forward direction, in which what happens, reactants completely consume and they convert into the products. Remember, the products do not react to give the reactants again. This is important, because in some reactions what happens, depending upon the nature of the substances and the reaction conditions, the so formed products may again recombine to give the reactants also. Such reactions are we call reversible reaction. Okay, now these irreversible reactions do not attain the chemical equilibrium or equilibrium state. What is the equilibrium, we will discuss in continuation. Okay, now these reactions are especially represented by a single arrow notation towards the right hand side. Are you getting my point? Example, precipitation reactions. Now here NaCl combining with AgNO3 aqueous solution to give NaNO3, AgCl. AgCl is a white color precipitate, which is a white color precipitate. Okay, precipitation reactions generally irreversible reactions. Now one more important thing, the reaction between strong acid and a strong base. This is very important. The neutralization reaction between strong acid and strong base is also irreversible. Strong acid, let's suppose hydrochloric acid, and strong base, let's suppose NaOH, they combine to give NaCl and H2O. This is a neutralization reaction. Once again I am telling, strong acid and strong base reactions are irreversible reactions. Okay, now the reactions occurring in the open container, open vessel, especially decomposition. You know limestone thermal decomposition to give CaO, CO2, potassium chlorate thermal decomposition to give KCl and O2. Do you know, being a gases, they escape from the container because the container is open vessel. The container is how? What is the container here? Open vessel. So these reactions are irreversible. They occur in the unidirection, only one direction, that means in the forward direction. Okay. Now come to another category of reaction, that is a reversible reactions. Now the reactions which proceed in both direction, that is forward direction as well as the backward direction under the set of the experimental conditions. Okay. Now reactants form products, that is generally, and also the products react to form the reactants in backward direction. This is very important. Now there are two types of reactions in the reversible reaction: forward reaction and backward reaction. In forward reaction, what happens? Reactants combine to give products. In backward reaction, what happens? Products, they return back to give the original reactants. Okay. So this is the types of reaction: reversible reactions and irreversible reactions. Now these reactions, that is the reversible reactions, majorly occur in the closed vessel. This is one of important experimental condition. Okay. Now attainment of equilibrium state, they attain the equilibrium state and never go for completion of the reaction. This is very important. These reactions never go completion. That means the reactions continue to take place. That means forward reaction, backward reaction continue to take place. Are you getting my point? Now here these reactions are represented by double arrow. This is very important. Now this is a double arrow representation. This double arrow representation corresponding to both forward and backward reaction continue to take place. Both forward reaction and backward reaction continue to take place. Are you getting my point? Here half arrow right side, half arrow left side generally. Okay. Now otherwise we can write that complete arrow. We can write complete arrow right side and complete arrow left side. This is the representation of a reversible reaction. Example: hydrogen combined with iodine, okay, to give hydrogen iodide. N2 combined with O2 to give NO. N2 combined with hydrogen to give ammonia. Okay. Now this is a Haber process. Which process? Haber process, manufacturing of ammonia. There are a lot of examples. We will see one by one. Okay. Now one more example is there: acetic acid and ethyl alcohol. Do you know carboxylic acid and alcohol, they combine to give ester and water, formation of ester. We know formation of ester and the hydrolysis of ester. The backward reaction is the ester hydrolysis. So this is a reversible reaction. Okay. Now diamond graphite, this is called phase transformation. One phase transfer to another phase. Okay. Now the decomposition reactions now occurring in the closed vessel. Now here limestone decomposes to give quicklime and carbon dioxide. Suppose if the vessel is open, CO2 gas, being a gas, it can escape out. Okay. But the container now closed, then what happens? Do you know CO2 is a non-metal oxide which is acidic in nature, and CaO is a basic oxide, that is a metal oxide. So because of acid base reaction, they recombine to give the limestone, that is the initial compound. Are you getting my point? So this is the one set of condition, that is a closed container. And one more example: ammonium hydrogen sulfide. Ammonium hydrogen sulfide to give ammonia gas and H2S gas. Okay. Being a gas, it should escape, but the container is what? Closed container. So H2S is acidic nature, and ammonia, we know ammonia is a base. Ammonia is a what? Base. So base combined with acid again to form salt. So this type of reaction is a reversible reaction in a closed container. Okay. Now the types of equilibria. Now basically there are different types of chemical equilibrium. Okay. Let's suppose the first equilibrium, physical equilibrium. This equilibrium mainly occurs during the physical or phase transformation, especially Let's suppose in a physical process, that means there are three types of substances based on the physical state: solid substances, liquid substances, and gaseous substances. During the physical state changes, the equilibrium that occurs during a physical process is known as a physical equilibrium. Are you getting my point? Now here, the possibility of the physical equilibrium, let's suppose solid liquid equilibrium, liquid gas equilibrium, and solid gas equilibrium. So there are again how many types of equilibria? Three types. Are you getting my point? Solid liquid equilibrium, number one. Now here, suppose if you take some ice cubes and they kept in a water, along with water in a perfectly insulated thermos flask, that means there is no heat exchange between the system and surroundings. Are you getting my point? Now at 273 Kelvin temperature, that is a 0 degree Celsius, and atmospheric pressure 1 atmosphere, that is 1.013 bar pressure, then there will be no change in the mass of the ice on water. This is very important, because now here solid state water, that is ice, liquid state water. Okay, now there is a equilibrium established at 0 degree Celsius temperature and 1 atmosphere pressure. Are you getting my point? That means the mass of the water and the mass of the liquid water and mass of the solid water will be here equal. Are you getting my point? At equilibrium, this is very important, the rate of melting of ice will be equal to rate of freezing of water. Let's suppose 1 gram of ice melted. Let's suppose 1 gram of ice melted. Simultaneously 1 gram of water will be formed. Otherwise, if 1 gram of water will freeze, then subsequently 1 gram of ice will be formed. Yes. Okay. Now the temperature at which a solid and liquid form of a pure substances exist in the equilibrium at atmospheric pressure is referred as what? Freezing point, normal freezing point or melting point of the substance. This is the definition of a freezing point or melting point. Okay. Now the second equilibrium, liquid and vapor equilibrium. Let's suppose in a evacuated vessel connected with a manometer containing the two arms, okay, two limbs which are filled by mercury. In both the arms, the liquid mercury will be remain same because the container is completely evacuated. Okay. Now after filling of some liquid, let's suppose water, in the container, slowly what happens, the liquid level in the left side mercury arm will decreases and right side liquid level of the mercury arm will be increases, because water undergo certain vaporization. Due to vapors of water, they exert some pressure. That's why there will be a difference in the mercury level column, due to which the pressure increases, due to which because of the pressure exerted by the water molecules on the surface of the mercury. Okay. Now here at a certain time of interval, the liquid level mercury become constant in both the arms. That indicates the equilibrium attainment. Okay. Now when equilibrium attains, then the mercury column become constant in both the limbs or both the arms. Okay. H2O liquid and H2O vapor, both will exist in dynamic equilibrium. Now at equilibrium point, what happens? Rate of evaporation of water will be equal to rate of condensation of water. This is very important. Here actually what happens in this diagram, if you see, in the left side container there is an empty evacuated container. Okay. Now here it is connected to manometer. On the manometer, the two arms of the mercury column will have same height. Okay. Now after filling the water in this container, what happens? This is a liquid water in the bottom, so this is a vapor. This vapor exerts some pressure, due to the vapor pressure, the height of a mercury column will now differ. Okay. The difference in these two columns will be corresponding to the vapor pressure of the liquid water. Are you getting my point? Now let's suppose we have some other liquids, methyl alcohol, acetone, ether. So they have different equilibrium pressures at the same temperature, because the vapor pressure is a function of temperature especially, and also nature of the liquid also. Depending upon the intermolecular force of attraction, the vapor pressure of a liquid keeping on changes even though temperature is constant. Okay, now suppose if you see ethers, ether do not possess any hydrogen bonding. That means ethers will have very weak intermolecular force of attractions, so they try to escape into the vapor phase. So the vapor pressure of ether will be very high as compared to methyl alcohol and acetone. Are you getting my point? Now such liquids whose vapor pressure is very high are known as volatile liquids. The liquids whose liquids vapor pressure is very high, they have low boiling point. They have low boiling point because boiling point and vapor pressure are inversely proportional. This is very important. Okay, now here what is the definition of a boiling point or a normal boiling point? It is the temperature at where the liquid form and vapor form of a pure substances are exist in the equilibrium at atmospheric pressure is known as the normal boiling point. Are you getting my point? Now come to next to solid and gas equilibrium. Solid and gas equilibrium. Here let's suppose iodine. We know iodine is a sublimizing compound. Iodine solid. Now iodine will undergo sublimation to give the vapor. Do you know iodine has a violet color? So initially the violet color vapor intensity gradually what happens? Increases. Are you getting my point? But after a certain time of interval, the intensity of a iodine vapors, that is a violet color, become constant. That indicates the attainment of the equilibrium. Okay, now ammonium salts also sublimizing compounds. Ammonium salts also sublimizing compounds. At equilibrium, what happens? Rate of the sublimation will be equal to the rate of the condensation. Okay, now equilibrium involving the dissolution of a solid or a gas in a liquid. Let's suppose solid in a liquid. Now suppose we are adding sugar continuously to a fixed volume of a water at a room temperature. Okay, stirring thoroughly through a glass rod. Okay, first of all what happens? Sugar will continuously keeping on dissolving, but at a certain time of interval a stage will approach that further there will be no more sugar dissolves, because how much of sugar has to dissolve? That much of sugar dissolved in the given amount of the solvent. Still we are adding excess amount of the sugar. Are you getting my point? Then what happens? The excess amount of the sugar which is we are adding, that will get settled down at the bottom. Settled down at the bottom means you are adding more than the required amount of the sugar. That means the excess amount of sugar which will be settled, which will be in the undissolved state, will settle down at the bottom. Super saturated solution. More than the required amount of a sugar is added to the given amount of the solvent. The solution is now said to be saturated and having a state of what? Equilibrium. At equilibrium, the rate of dissolution of a sugar will be rate of precipitation of the sugar. Here there is a one diagram is there. Now here at the bottom completely you have the solid sugar. This is the solid sugar molecules. Are you getting my point? Now here the sugar dissolved in the solution form. Between the solid form and the aqueous form of the sugar there is an equilibrium established. Let's suppose one sugar molecule try to dissolve in the gas in the aqueous medium. Simultaneously from the aqueous medium one particle will be try to deposit in the solid state. So there is an equilibrium established. There is a equilibrium established. Solute plus solvent gives what? Solution. Okay, let's suppose sugar I am adding to the certain amount of a water, you will get a sugar aqueous solution. Sugar aqueous solution. Now one more, gas in liquid type of equilibria. We know soft drinks, that is a cool drink where the high pressure of a carbon dioxide will be compressed in the water. Are you getting my point? So dissolution of gas in a liquid under pressure in a closed vessel, such type of equilibrium is present in soda water bottle in which what happens, carbon dioxide gas is dissolved in water under high pressure. There is a state of dynamic equilibrium between the CO2 present in the solution and in the vapor state above the liquid surface at a given temperature. Are you getting my point? Now here CO2 is gaseous state. Now this CO2 will be in the aqueous state. There is a equilibrium established. Now the solubility of a gases in a liquids was governing by very important law, which is known as a Henry's law. So this Henry's law we will study in the liquid solutions, in the chapter of liquid solutions, that is the 12th NCERT physical chemistry. Are you getting my point? Now the mass of a gas, the statement of the Henry's law, the mass of a gas that is dissolved in a given mass of a solvent at a constant temperature is directly proportional to the pressure of the gas above the surface of the solvent. This is very important. If the pressure of a gas increases above the surface of a solvent, then the mass of a gas dissolved in the solvent also increases. Are you getting my point? Now here some conclusions. Liquid, vapor, liquid, water, vapor, H2O gas. So in this process at a constant temperature, what happens, the vapor pressure of liquid will be constant. In case of water, vapor pressure of water. Now solid and liquid. Now the temperature at where the solid form, liquid form both exist, known as a melting point. So the melting point is fixed where, at constant pressure. Now solute and solution. Just now I told you sugar dissolved in the water. Okay, the concentration of a solute, that is a sugar in the solution, is constant where, at a given temperature. Now gas in liquid. Let's suppose carbon dioxide compressed in the water. The concentration of a gas in aqueous medium divided by concentration of gas is constant where, at a constant temperature. Are you getting my point? Now there is another type of equilibrium that is based upon the phase. That is based upon what? Phase. Do you know there are three types of phases? Solid phase, liquid phase, and gas phase. Are you getting my point? So out of these three phases, according to these three phases, there are two types of equilibrium. Number one, homogeneous equilibrium. Number two, heterogeneous equilibrium. The name is itself indicating that if all the substances that are present in the equilibrium, that are in the reversible reaction, should be in the same phase, then that is called homogeneous equilibrium. Let's suppose hydrogen gaseous state, chlorine gaseous state. When they combine to give HCl is a gas. Do you know gases will always form homogeneous mixture? Let's suppose SO2 gas, NO2 gas combine to give SO3 gas and NO gas. Are you getting my point? Okay. Now come to heterogeneous. In this, all the reactants and products are in the different phases. Same phases homogeneous, different phases heterogeneous. Let's suppose iron combining with steam, superheated steam, that is water in the gaseous state, to give iron oxide Fe3O4 and dihydrogen gas. Okay. Now iron is a solid, water is the steam, that is the ideal gas vapor state, Fe3O4 solid state, H2 will be gaseous state. Now one more example, limestone is a solid which decomposes to give CaO solid and CO2 gas. Are you getting my point? Now here important thing is, let's suppose we have one solid and another solid. Do you know generally solids, they do not mix each other. When two solids are combining, definitely we will say heterogeneous phase. Okay. Now here two liquids, liquid 1 and liquid 2, depending upon the solubility, they may form homogeneous, they form heterogeneous. If both the liquids are soluble in one another, they form homogeneous. If they are not soluble in one another, that is heterogeneous. Let's suppose alcohol and water, both alcohol water liquids, and they are soluble in one another. That means the mixture of alcohol and water will form homogeneous. Let's suppose we have water and benzene, we have water and kerosene, where both the liquids, they do not immiscible, they are not insoluble in one another. That is called heterogeneous. Are you getting my point? Now gas 1, gas 2. Gases will always form homogeneous mixture. Gases will always form homogeneous mixture. Are you getting my point? And one more important thing, if you have solid and liquid, now this is important, whether the solid is soluble in liquid or not. Based on that, if the solid completely soluble in the liquid, to form a homogeneous mixture. If it is insoluble, it will form heterogeneous mixture. Are you getting my point? Homogeneous mixture means same phase. Heterogeneous means different phases. Are you getting my point? Now here, chemical equilibrium. Now let's suppose consider A, B, 2 reactants, C, D, 2 products. Okay. Now initially, let's suppose only we have reactants. There will be no products. What happens? Reactants will combine to give the products. But this reaction is which reaction? Reversible reaction. That means after certain time, some measurable quantity of reactants will come, some measurable quantity of products C and D will be formed. Then what happens? They start to recombine to form reactants by backward reaction. That means as the concentration of reactant slowly decreases, the rate of forward reaction gradually decreases. Are you getting my point? And simultaneously, when the concentration of products increases, the rate of backward reaction, what happens? Increases. At a particular time of interval, the rate of forward reaction and rate of backward reaction both will get same or equal. Such state is called equilibrium state or equilibrium position. This is also known as a chemical equilibrium. What is the definition of a chemical equilibrium? It is a position or it is a state in a reversible reaction where the rate of a forward reaction will be equal to the rate of the backward reaction. Backward reaction is also called reverse reaction. Are you getting my point? Now these are the two conditions at equilibrium. The first condition, the rate of forward reaction should be equal to the rate of the backward reaction. Now rate of a forward reaction RF, rate of a backward reaction RB. R means rate, F means forward, B means backward. And number 2, this is a very important condition, the concentration of all the reactants and all the products must be constant. This is very important, constant. The concentration unit is moles per liter. Concentration unit is what? Moles per liter. Now here some characteristic points regarding the chemical equilibrium. This is a very important topic. Are you getting my point? The first point, in a reversible reaction at equilibrium, both forward and backward reactions, what happens? Continue to take place. That means here the reaction never go for completion. Reactions never go for completion. This is very important. First point. Now the second point, in a reversible reaction at equilibrium, rate of forward reaction will be equal to what? Rate of backward reaction, just now I told you, RF is equal to what? RB. That's why this equilibrium is also known as dynamic equilibrium. What is the definition of a dynamic equilibrium? It is the equilibrium at where rate of forward reaction and rate of backward reaction both are equal. Okay. Now this equilibrium can be achieved from either side of the direction. That means suppose you are taking reactants initially. From the reactants you can get the equilibrium, or starting you have only products. From the products, by using the products you can attain the equilibrium. Otherwise you can take both reactants and products. you can achieve the equilibrium. So the equilibrium can be attained from either direction of the reaction. It is not compulsory only react from the reactant side only equilibrium attained, or only from the product sides equilibrium is attained. From either sides the equilibrium can be attained. Are you getting my point? Now this is important. At equilibrium, the measurable properties, what are the properties measurable? Like color, just now I told you, iodine violet color, pressure in case of CO2 gas. Okay, now concentration, density, temperature, refractive indices. So these are some measurable properties. They do not change with time. This is very important. Where? At equilibrium. This is very important. At equilibrium, whatever the measurable parameters, they become constant. They become what? Constant. Now the important point is the catalyst. What is the definition of a catalyst? A substance which increases or which alters the rate of a reaction without itself consuming in the reaction. Okay. Now, what is the role of a catalyst on the position of a equilibrium? A catalyst do not change the position of the equilibrium. This is very, very important objective question. This is the statement 1, that is a assertion. The reason behind this, the catalyst increases the both rate of forward reaction and backward reaction to the same extent. This is very important. That's why it doesn't have any effect on the position of equilibrium, but it is useful to attain the equilibrium quickly. To approach the equilibrium quickly, a catalyst is added. Otherwise, there is no role of the catalyst on the position of the equilibrium. This is a very important point. And one more important point of the characteristics of the equilibrium is Gibbs free energy. The Gibbs free energy change, that will be delta G at constant temperature and pressure, will be 0. No change in the Gibbs free energy. What is the Gibbs free energy? It is the amount of energy available in a system to do useful work. At equilibrium, the change in Gibbs free energy will be what? 0. This is very important. And one more important point is there. Now here there are some parameters, suppose pressure, volume, concentration, temperature, etc. These parameters, when they change, then the position of equilibrium may also change. The position of equilibrium may be governing by changing temperature, changing pressure, change in concentration, change in the density, change in the temperature, etc. Okay. What are the factors affecting the position of equilibrium? Pressure, volume, concentration, and temperature. These are the 4 important parameters which affect the position of a equilibrium, which we will discuss in a important topic known as a Le-Chatelier principle, which we will discuss in Le-Chatelier principle. Okay. And next one is the graphical representation. How to represent the equilibrium? Through graph. Now in this graph we are taking on the y-axis concentration, on the x-axis time interval. Okay, we know as the time starts, let's suppose initially we have only reactants and we do not have product. That's why the concentration of products will be 0. As the time starts, slowly reactants concentration, what happens? Gradually decreases, and simultaneously concentration of products, what happens? Slowly, gradually increases. At a time of interval, what happens? The concentration of reactants become what? Constant, and the concentration of products become what? Constant. Are you getting my point? It is the time, it is the position where the concentration of all the species become constant. So this is the time interval to approach the chemical equilibrium. Are you getting my point? At equilibrium, the concentration of reactants and products will be constant. This is very important. Now the second graph, you see the concentration of reactant decreases at a particular time of interval, they become what? Constant. And the concentration of products increases, keeping on increases, but after particular time of interval, the concentration again become what happens? Constant. That means at a particular time of interval, after which the concentration of all the participating species become constant. This is the equilibrium time. Are you getting my point? the concentration of the reactants and products should be constant. Remember, the constant value may or may not be equal, but the concentrations should be constant. Now, third graph, if you see, the concentration of reactants slowly decreases at a particular time of interval, they become constant, and the concentration of products slowly increases, and they, after a particular time of interval, the concentration become what happens? Constant. Are you getting my point? It here at this place, what happens? Both the concentration of reactants and products are constant, and the constant value will be equal. The constant value will be what happens? Equal. This is called equilibrium. This position is known as what? Equilibrium. Equilibrium position. Equilibrium position. Are you getting my point? Now the first three graphs regarding the concentration versus time, concentration versus time, and concentration versus time. Now come to fourth graph, rate of a reaction versus time taken for the reaction. Now RF, that is rate of forward reaction, RB, rate of backward reaction. Now we know as the time starts, initially the reactants concentration slowly decreases. Are you getting my point? And simultaneously concentration of products slowly increases. At a particular time of interval, both the rate of forward reaction and rate of backward reaction, what happens? Equal. This is called equilibrium. This is called what? Equilibrium. So first graph represent the chemical equilibrium. Second graph also represent the chemical equilibrium. Third one also represent. Fourth one also represent. Now come to fifth graph. Whether this graph represent the chemical equilibrium or not. Now here the condition, rate is given, time taken graph is given. Rate and time taken graph is given. Okay. Now the difference between the fifth graph and fourth graph. In the fourth graph, what happens? We are taking the product concentration 0. Only we are taking from the reactants. The reactions beginning with only reactants. But here we are taking some certain quantity of reactants also. Certain amount of products also, and in reactants concentration already present. Here products will be present, reactants also will be present in the reaction container. Okay. Now the concentration of reactant, what happens? Slowly decreases with the time of action, and concentration of products goes keeping on increases. So the rate of forward reaction decreases, backward reaction increases, and after a certain time of interval, both the rates become what? Constant. Both the reaction rates will be equal to same, must be same or equal. Then that is called equilibrium. So fifth graph is also corresponding to equilibrium. Now come to sixth graph. In the sixth graph, what happens? Concentration of reactant gradually decreases, okay, and the concentration of products gradually increases, okay, and after a certain time of interval, both the rates, what happens? Constant. Remember, here rates constant, but rate of forward reaction is not equal to rate of backward reaction. This is very important. Now if you see the graph, first graph, this is with respect to concentration. Concentration should be constant, but the rate of the reaction should be equal. This is very important. That means the sixth graph do not represent the equilibrium graph. Are you getting my point? Now come to seventh graph. In the seventh graph, what happens? Rate of forward reaction gradually decreases, and rate of backward reaction gradually increases, and they become constant. Here also the values not equal. This is very important. Okay, so this is not corresponding to the equilibrium. Now come to graph number 8. In the graph number 8, you see there is no any products, only we have reactants initially. Concentration of products, what happens? 0. Now here you see the rate of forward reaction is increasing, rate of backward reaction is also increasing. This is not possible, because when the rate of forward reaction decreases, the rate of backward reaction has to be increased. How it is possible? Both the rate of forward and backward reactions are continually increases. after certain period what happens, they become equal. Of course, after certain time of interval, both the rate of reactions are equal, but initially if you see, both the rate of reactions continuously increasing. Are you getting my point? So that means this is not corresponding to the equilibrium concept. Are you getting my point? Next, one more graph here also. Here already we have products and reactants. In this eighth case, only reactants will be there, products will be absent. Okay, but here reactants will be there, product will be there. Still both the rate of reaction what happens, gradually increases. This is also not corresponding to equilibrium, because they are not corresponding to equilibrium, because the rate of forward and backward reactions cannot increase together. This is the reason why the graph number 8 and graph number 9 do not corresponding to equilibrium. Still they have both rate of forward reaction equal to rate of backward reaction. Are you getting my point? So this is the chemical equilibrium. Okay.